Hello plant friends, my name is Jimmy. I'm a doctor and tropical plant hobbyist in LA, and this channel is about plants. So this is going to be part 3 of the Jake series. For those of you who don't know, Jake is a very well-established, really well-known, and well-respected aroid collector here in Los Angeles, and he is so passionate, so knowledgeable about the hobby, and amazing plants. He is Keep Your Plants on _LA on Instagram. Definitely give him a follow if you aren't already, but I'm pretty sure most of you guys are probably already following him. So, like I said, this is part 3 of the series. If you haven't checked out the previous episodes, definitely check them out. Part 1 was about grow lights and humidity, and then part 2 was how social media blew up the houseplant hobby. If you've already seen those episodes, by now you're like, Jimmy, when are you going to go in depth into his collection? Right? You're like, when are you going to do it? Well, this is it. Okay, guys? Jake and I did go through some of his favorite plants in his collection. I'm going to separate them into 5 plant episodes. Okay, and we just talked about the plants as he pulled them out off his shelf. These are in no particular order or preference. I know you guys are ready. I'm really excited. I know Jake is always excited about talking about his plants and sharing his collection. So here we go, number 1 through 5. All right, let's
first and foremost, this is my first and my true love, so it's hard to capture. Maybe you want to capture me with it.
Yeah.
So see the scale.
Yeah. So how tall are you?
So I'm 6'2".
Okay.
And don't be deceived because there's actually 2.
Okay. All right.
So this right here is my first. I'd say my first rare plant. This is my Monstera Thai constellation. It is a giant. And it's just a joy to grow. It's been giving me, I'd say, a new leaf every month or 2, and it's just, I mean, it's so dramatic when these new leaves come out.
Yeah.
You know, they do the thing that aroids do, which is so exciting, where these unfurl. They pop out a roll and then they unroll. Yeah. And then they do this thing where they just continue to fill with water so that they keep expanding and expanding. So, this leaf is, pretty enormous. And this, I'm guessing that this leaf this just opened up maybe 3 days ago. Yeah. I'm sure this will double in size by the time it's done. So definitely a favorite of mine. And just a beautiful plant that I recommend everyone have in their collection. It's huge. Something that's really special.
I mean, it is taking quite a bit of real estate.
It is, and I am very judicious with my real estate.
Yeah, so it means a lot to you, to have a plant that's taking up so much space. This plant will
always have a very special place in my heart. Yeah. Beautiful moss pole built by Jungle PNW. Anybody needs moss poles. Christiana does a great job
I'll tag her.
Moss poles. Yep. I'd recommend that. So that's favorite plant number 1.
I mean, you have plants that are worth, thousands.
I do.
So for this huge Thai constellation to have like such a big place in your room as well as a big place in your heart, it kind of just says that a plant doesn't have to be the rarest or the most expensive for us to love them, right? It was just kind of
absolutely. I mean, I think that there's when I think about value of plants. I definitely have some plants in my collection that are very expensive plants.
I think you have a lot more cheaper plants, right?
Totally. Yeah. And I think that once something integrates into my collection...
I like how we say cheaper as you're standing in front of like a pothos wall, like...
Totally. That's a great example. I think that this whole wall of plants probably costs less than like most of my plants on their own. But it's pretty cool in its entirety. But what I was going to say is, I think once plants work into my collection, one of the things that I found is just because a plant is expensive or rare doesn't necessarily make me fall in love with it. And conversely to that, like I have, next to this is, this philodendron painted lady. Yeah, very common, right?
Very
common, not an expensive plant, and I'm friggin' in love with it lately. Yeah. I mean, look how beautiful these leaves are. Really stunning. Yeah. There's a nice, I think probably $15 philodendron that, I've had for a year, so it's grown out, and it's a real beauty. So the next favorite
Okay.
I love this plant
Oh yeah.
for a couple of reasons. Trying to train it to go up. So I call this my
Your Tesla
my
plant.
Tesla plant. It's actually called, an Anthurium Falcatum.
You know, Jake, since you've been such an influence and it's such like a personality on Instagram, I think that a lot of other people
I would
are.
like to think that I've
Yeah,
contributed to
a lot
the
of other
success and the
people-
popularity of this plant.
Yeah, a lot of other people are like not only getting into this plant but also calling it the Tesla plant.
Yes, perfect. I love it. So it's a really cool plant. I was at an orchid show in San Diego, maybe 6 or 7 months ago, and I got there a little bit late, and the madness of kind of the mad grab for plants had already happened, and there wasn't much left. And I found this Anthurium on the ground, underneath the table. It only had 2 leaves when I got it.
Yeah, now this plant is a lot more popular. I don't think anyone.
I mean, look at how beautiful
yeah,
this is.
I think I don't know if it's due to you, probably partly, but
one of the things that I've seen happen that's really cool is I think that people are really become appreciative of foliage and unique foliage in plants. You know, I think if you look at, just a complex or unique foliage pattern, I mean, this T shape is just so beautiful.
Super unique.
And it's an Anthurium, so it does that thing where...
Yeah, when the leaves come out super tiny and then it just grows.
Yeah, it comes out super tiny and purple, and then they just expand. And one of the things that's really fun about Anthuriums is as they mature, you just, you never know how big the leaf is going to get. When this leaf came in, I was so excited because it was so big, and then, you have this leaf that comes in, and it's like, holy shit, it's getting bigger and bigger. And this is a really rewarding plant.
Oh, yeah, and it looks really hardy, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And surprisingly, I mean, not that challenging to grow. You can see it's kind of tucked in the corner for me. It's not in a high light atmosphere or a high humidity area.
Let me see what soil you kind of use for your Anthurium. You kind of use a very well draining mix, right?
I do. So
well, first of all, I also have to tell people that you do work from home, so you do have a lot of time to tend to water and care. So I think that obviously the more well draining the mix, the more you have to water it.
That's right. Absolutely. Right. But I'll tell you that these, well draining mixes are really important for these guys.
Yeah.
So you can see here, there's not a lot of dirt in my mix or soil.
Hardly.
So this is, I love tree fern stems, charcoal, orchid bark, perlite. There is some dirt in there. And then another trick that I learned through the plant community.
You moss the
I do, yeah. My buddy Hugo taught me this trick where for Anthuriums that have somewhat of a trunk, because most of them come from cuttings, I'll take some sphagnum moss and then I'll just wrap some, botanical wire around it.
Yeah.
And it really kind of tricks the plant into thinking that it has more humidity or more moisture than it actually does. And you can't see this in the video, but you could feel it's got a good amount of dampness on the moss. So that's been a good trick.
I wrap mine in moss too. So
yeah. More favorites. This would be another favorite. This is
not even an aroid, right?
This is not an aroid, no. So this is a Dischidia. Pretty neat story behind this. So I was in Thailand, actually, on pleasure, and...
This reminds me of, what's that animal? Pangolin?
Pingicular,
Pangolin or something like that?
They're endangered, I know what you're talking about, yeah. Really, really neat plant. So I went to the plant market in Bangkok and saw a couple of these and just absolutely fell in love with them. They're just really, really neat plants. They're a little challenging to grow. They like to stay pretty damp, but they like to dry out quickly. They kind of like succulent-like conditions, but they also like humidity, which is sort of a little bit confusing. This is my first foray into Dischidias, and you can see it's actually doing pretty well. It took a little while to establish. Now we are getting some good new growth from it, but I just think it's such a weirdo, and I like weirdos, so that is definitely a fave.
If you like the content so far, please like, subscribe, definitely give me a comment, and I'll always respond back. If you don't want to miss any of the future Jake series or any of my other episodes about other plant stuff, definitely click on that bell icon next to the subscribe button to not miss any of the future videos.
Another favorite of mine, my Philodendron Birkin. I'm particularly proud of this specimen. I think it's it's just a really good one.
Yeah.
It's just a nice big full plant. You can see it
Oh,
now has
yeah.
a couple of growth points.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I was
Oh,
really
it's very
excited
nice.
about.
Oh, you have some
this weird
some reverse variegation.
Yeah, it's sort of what's going on here. Is
Yeah.
this I've talked to some people. Obviously, this is a cultivar. I'm not really sure what the base species is.
Isn't it like a Congo? You know what I'm saying? It's so similar
Maybe.
to a Congo leaf.
These are a little broader than a
You think
Congo,
so?
so not really sure. I was chatting with some folks online about it, and we weren't. No one seems to be really that
Yeah,
sure. But
yeah.
I found this leaf just to be really interesting, and I thought maybe it was reverting, but we got another new leaf coming, and
Yeah.
it's not. So I love
That looks
foliage.
great. That
I'm a
looks
big
great.
foliage guy.
Yeah.
And look at that foliage pattern. You just can't.
Yeah.
So friggin' stunning.
Very nice.
I can see I've struggled a little bit with these rust dots on my philodendron. So another good example that while plants look really pretty on Instagram, they're not perfect. It's okay to not have perfect plants.
Plant filters.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you normally do for the rust spots or people? Because people get that pretty often.
Yeah. So
And they're always like, "What am I doing? What am I doing wrong?"
No, you're not doing anything wrong. So I've read different things about what they actually are.
Yeah.
And I've been treating with just my all-purpose bug spray.
So you think it's more of like a fungus?
So yeah, I was talking to
That's what I think, too.
Siddhartha guy.
Yeah.
On another recommendation. Sorry, sidebar that I would give is join the Facebook groups. There are several Facebook groups that are species specific or genus. Family, whatever they
yeah.
are. So there's like
Genus.
the Philodendron group, there's a Monstera group, there's an Alocasia group, and there are some geniuses
Yeah.
in these groups
Oh,
that
yeah.
are very generous with their time and with information. This guy Siddhartha
Yep.
in the Philodendron group is
Yep.
one of these people that I would reference. And I will oftentimes take pictures of some of the issues that I'm having and send them to him.
He's so kind. He's so kind
and
with his
so
time. Yeah,
knowledgeable.
yeah.
It's shocking.
Yeah.
How much the guy knows. So it's a great place. Those groups are a great place to, if you're not sure of an idea of a plant to post. And anyways, so I was chatting with him about the spots, and he seemed to think that it's very common. Most people have them on philodendrons, and that it's caused by some sort of a mite.
Okay.
So, I started spraying my plants. I have just an all-purpose bug spray that I use that seems to be a good mix.
Yeah.
And it seems to be working. But, again, not the end of the world. It's
Yep,
just
not the end of the world.
orange
Obviously, your
spots.
plant
It's
is really
obviously a healthy
thriving.
plant that's
Yeah.
thriving. And next favorite. So, as much as I've talked smack about alocasias,
Yep.
I'll show you two at the same time because I kind of love them both equally. So these are both.
I like how when you're taking the pots out, the pots are dripping with water. I just want people to know that it's because his mix is very, very well draining.
Well, I did water yesterday. Yesterday was a watering day for me.
Yeah.
And one of the pieces of advice that I don't necessarily follow, you hear a lot of people say that plants don't like to have wet feet.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily find that to be true.
Oh,
I find that
okay.
some of my plants, I try and get trays underneath each of them.
Yeah.
And I think that our air is so dry here in Southern California. And the
It adds
mixes
to
that
the
I have these
humidity?
guys, it adds to the humidity, and also they dry out so quick.
Yeah.
That having a little extra, inch of water in the bottom of the plant does let them kind of soak things up a little bit. So these, I think, are just really cool, beautiful specimens. The green dragon, which seems to be really hard to find.
Yeah, the green dragon's
right
a
now.
lot harder to find
Yeah.
than the silver dragon.
Yeah, I got lucky. I found this
That's a good
again
one.
before the kind of the craze started.
Yeah.
And,
Well, I think this guy has always been hard to find.
it has.
For a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'll show you a couple of things that I don't like about alocasias. So you'll see. Spider mite magnet.
Oh yeah.
Definitely got some spider mites going on there.
Let me see if I can do it.
So alocasias, to me, it's not about whether they do or they don't have spider mites. It's just a question of can you keep the spider mites under control. Alocasias are really
notorious,
spider mite magnets. I was actually I went to Silver Chrome when I was in Florida for the Aeroid show, and the guy that owns Silver Chrome gave us a tour, and he had Alocasia fridex at the end of several of his growing areas, and he said he literally puts them there because he knows he's going to have spider mites, and so the spider mites will go to the alocasias and not go to the other plants. So, it's just part of it. But you can also see, again, I just kind of stress for people who are beginning and think their plants aren't perfect. I would post a beautiful picture of this leaf on Instagram.
Yep. And
it's important to know that they're not all perfect.
Yeah.
It's doing its thing.
Yeah, I think that's what people have to realize, that I think the Instagram posts a lot of them are...
Well, it's fun to show the beautiful parts of your plant, but it's also,
I
think, important as growers are not beating ourselves up, if our plants aren't absolutely perfect.
Yeah, I think that's a good term. We shouldn't beat ourselves up, right? Because even in nature, right, a lot of these plants, if you see them in the jungles or you see them in, botanical gardens, they're not perfect either. A lot of them...
Most of them are.
Yeah, most of them are not.
Yeah.
All right, that's it for this episode, but there are several more Jake series episodes coming up your way. I hope you guys liked it. I mean, I had a lot of fun at his place. I'm sure Jake had a lot of fun sharing his collection as well. So hope to see you guys next time, or hope that you guys will be there to see the episode next time. Till next time, happy planting.